This stream's live and may discuss topics including mental health, addiction, depression, its treatment and other similar subjects that can be triggering or worrying to some people. If you may be negatively affected by this or you're at all uncomfortable with the subjects, please switch away now. You can always come back to watch it at another time. This show is also not suitable for children. As always, parental guidance should be applied.
Inside the tempo, yeah. Mr. Wiggly, I boosted, yo. Hey, step inside, I give thanks and the highest praise. Grandma said to Mama Earth, connect out the space.
Hello, welcome to the stream. It's 9 o'clock in the UK on not Sunday evening at all, on Wednesday evening. I hope everyone's good and safe and reasonably happy, or super happy if possible. It's Christmas is coming. It's a tough time of year. But we're here to hopefully make it better. Hopefully we won't make it worse. As before, Ollie and me are not medical professionals in any way whatsoever. We can only kind of really... The idea behind this is to offer a safe space for people to join in and chat, really, more than anything. In fact, that's what it's evolved to. More about that later on. But it's becoming much more of a community effort rather than listening to myself or Ollie kind of talk about things. So please do feel free to share whatever you want in the chat, like in question form or experience form or annoyance form or whatever. Just please join in. And what else has been going on? I've been off the air for a little bit. I came back today and I did Sonic State, which was really cool. But I've actually got a problem with my liver. I was just literally talking to Ollie about 2 minutes before we went live, saying how ironic it was that as potentially a paracetamol issue. I've had migraines recently and I've been taking migraine tablets, which are quite hardcore, so don't take many. But I think I might have been taking too many paracetamol. So I'm waiting for the bloods to come back. But it would be very ironic with me as a kind of non-drinker, healthy, reasonably healthy lifestyle kind of person, talking to Ollie about his past addictions and recovery with the liver issue, wouldn't it be? But I'm feeling much, much better. And the good thing about livers is that they grow back and they can recover very, very fast. So, but I still don't actually know quite what it is, but that's what the expectation is. So it's all good. And without further ado, let us say a big hello to Oliver Gould, who is joining us as always from the West Country. How are you doing, sir? Oh, I'm so sorry.
What have you done? There we go. Am I in the room now? Am I?
You are. You're in the room. Big ups to Ollie. How's it going?
Hello. Yeah, good. Well, your liver problem is a little bit worrying, isn't it, Dom? Being overindulging on the paracetamol.
I have to say, it was really scary on Sunday. I was scared.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never something I've ever experienced before, and it's like a stabbing under there, and you think, actually, of course, what I thought it was a muscle strain, so I took some paracetamol. Yeah. And obviously that didn't help, kind of got worse. So, But yeah, the good, like I say, they grow back, which is really cool. Once I read that, I was like, okay, we're going to be fine,
Well, mine were fine. Mine failed a couple of times, I think. I ended up in hospital with them.
But they were fine. They recovered, you mean?
They've recovered, yeah. Like, I'm actually really quite healthy now, but we'll find out when I do my blood test on the 3rd. But yeah, I used to live with the kidney and liver pain.
Right.
Like every day.
I'm just wet, really. It's like, oh, it really hurts.
But the opiates helped, obviously.
Oh, I guess so. Is it like a stabbing pain then?
Yeah, I'd wake up in like crippling pain, yeah. And then you just down the vodka and get on with. It's fucking stupid, isn't it? Fucking stupid. But yeah, so Christmas is upon us.
It is a good time of year for you. I mean, it's a non-time of year for you in a lot.
It's a non-time of year for me.
I sense a little cracking of the ice, though. There was a vaguely Christmassy vibes. It's not really bad,
ish. Well, I mean, so it's always been hard for me. Anyway, I've always struggled with Christmas because there was a lot of alcohol around, and it was being like put into small houses with loads of family and trying not to drink, and then I'd get tired from all the company, and then because I wouldn't be around too much because I'd been off getting wasted all the time, then all the family would want to catch up, and I'd feel like I'd been swarmed, so it turned into quite quite a bad experience when it shouldn't have. And then obviously my mum passed, which then made it even harder because the only time I'd celebrate it was to do with my mum. So then it just there was a knock-on effect, and I found myself kind of not wanting to do Christmas, and I still don't want to do Christmas, and I kind of shied away from doing the family thing, and yeah, it turned into quite a bad time of year. But I'm starting to realise now, and I'm actively trying to make more effort with my family around this time of year, and trying to remember to get presents and trying to remember to send cards, which I haven't done, but I'm going to see everybody anyway, so I'll give them to them. So yeah, it's a really hard time of year for me, and I'm just starting to come to terms with the loss of my mum sort of 20 odd years later, which is crazy. And yeah, I'm still kind of stuck in that mental block with Christmas. So
gosh, it's a long time, isn't it?
I
think what made me think it was a kind of, coming round a bit. It was the Christmas shopping picture, which obviously iManiac obviously saw.
Oh,
that you were there, ready to take on the shops, which I know is not your favourite place in the world.
No, it's horrible. So. And I avoided looking at the shopping faces. And I just dug down and got it. But I spent about 2 hours walking around without managing to get anything. So, I didn't do any planning. I was just like, right, this is my day. I'm going to go and do it. And I did it.
That's the worst thing if you can't, because I'm not a big shopping fan, but I kind of have to know this is what I'm going to get. And then it's just a military operation to kind of.
Well, I knew what I was going to get, but everywhere I went didn't have what I was trying to find. So it's like one of those, to be fair. And what I should have done was like do the old Amazon delivery about, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, but I didn't. And then Melissa was like, let's not do Christmas presents. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'll get us something anyway. Just as a thanks for
I think that's what that means, actually.
But I found that because it wasn't associated with Christmas, I actually enjoyed getting her a gift. Which was really weird. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
So
no, that's really good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a really odd time of year. It'd be interesting to see what other people in the chat have to say about.
Yeah. How's everyone feeling? Generally, if you're on your own, especially, it's a big downer. Dr. Vim says not a fan of shopping headphones on 10 minutes. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Grey One FPV. Hi to you. It's my first year without my mum. I had a big day with my daughter's plan today, but the day descended into hell. I'm really sorry. On both counts. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a big deal. First Christmas without your mum, as obviously Ollie 20 years later is still feeling the effects. It's a massive thing. But what went wrong? I'm really sorry to hear that. Matt Evans saying he only does Christmas for the kids. I hate this time of year. I mean, how does that work with your child? Is he he must be quite into the presents or something.
Well, I didn't. I've kind of like maybe ruined Christmas for him a little bit. I don't know. He with his mum's family, he does the Christmas stuff, but then I've never really put Christmas decorations up, and I've never really got him presents from Father Christmas because I'm like, well, I've worked really hard to afford these presents. Father Christmas isn't getting the fucking gratification for it, so I've always just given him presents, and he knows they're from me. And whenever he's sort of asked me if Father Christmas exists, I've kind of gone quiet and tried not to answer it because the whole lying to kids really gets to me. So I've kind of skirted my way around it. But he's 11 next year, so he's getting to that age now where sort of it's kind of over a little bit, and it's a difficult one, but you have to go with I think you go with the flow, and very much around Luna May it's to say exactly the same. So it's everyone's in it. Everyone at school is all in the whole thing. So it's brilliant. It does feel slightly strange, but I know the whole lying to your child thing just always got to me. It was like a massive weirdness, and then obviously the massive commercial strain, and showing love with money, and it's just. I don't know. It just leaves a really sour taste in my mouth. Yeah. And, maybe it is just me just not dealing with the issues with my mum not being here. And, but I hated it before anyway because I only did it for my mum. So I don't know. I'm sure.
It's such a mixed up time for you. It's crazy. I mean, the Friday Christmas and all that, I absolutely, it works for me. I don't have any problem with that. But I get the commercialisation and the productisation and the pressure now to buy your children stuff or whatever, whether there's a competition or, people who are borrowing money to buy presents, that's just going to put them in a right mess because they feel they have to. Or
Well, yeah.
It's a terrible, terrible situation. Which is,
I mean, today is the winter solstice, which I kind of have more of an affiliation for, because it is actually, I've gone about this defined time, the New Year and Christmas, and actually this is an actual rotation.
Wow.
For
I
us,
didn't know that. I bet loads of people didn't know that.
Wow. But this is an actual physical point of which it is our shortest day, which then it starts opening up to the longest day. So I feel more of an affiliation with with these times than I do with Christmas, and I kind of feel like, I'd prefer to be celebrating that.
Well, it's definitely a positive step. The idea that we're not going to be in darkness at 4:00. Nathan, quite a poignant comment. Most Christmases I've either been out on the road or on my own. First year with the family in over 25 years, but this year I fell off the wagon, so I need it more than ever. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, big love to you and support, whatever. Thank you for being here. Yeah, that's a big one. So it's good to have the support from your family, and thanks for sharing it. So,
what happened? I'd be really interested to find out, Nathan. What made you fall off the wagon? Have you looked into that yet? Are you back on the wagon? What have you done to get yourself back on the wagon? Sort of where are you, and what sort of things you're going to put in place to set yourself up again? Because I think this sort of feedback's really good for the people here in the chat, and I think it helps everybody learn from definitely the mistakes.
And this time of year, Christmas and New Year it's very, very hard. If I don't know what kind of wagon you're on, but for drinking especially, it's just built into every single action around Christmas and New Year, which is just again slightly ridiculous. Dean from Electronic Sounds, wife's gift is in the closet from Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. Man. That's changed Christmas.
Good old Amazon. Good old Amazon. Yeah. I mean, you think I'd be the first to utilise that with my hatred for shops in the city centre, but it's like a sort of pain I've got to go through, I think, maybe.
What, you just have to put yourself through it?
Put myself through it, yeah, the whole difficult space. But I survived it, basically, which was nice.
Oh, dear. Oh, Grey 1 FPV, the car died. Well, at least it was just the car. Okay, so Grey 1 FPV was talking about a terrible day that was meant to be a really big day. Okay, well, that is a nightmare. But at least cars can be fixed, I guess. So,
well, yeah. Well, yeah. At what expense with this time of year?
True, actually. Christ. I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming, flat tire, maybe needed a battery or something. But yeah, it could have been a complete disaster.
Well, I mean, I bought a set of decks last week, and they turned up and one of them didn't work, and I was like, look, mate, you sold these as working, blah blah blah, and do you know what I mean, this one's not working. I haven't opened it up, I haven't checked it over yet, because obviously in my mind we're in a sort of middle ground of where it is. And I said, look, I'm not going to be a dick. Do you know what I mean? I fix these anyway, so I'm not going to send them back or demand a refund. But, I feel I need to contact you and tell you this is what the case is. And the bloke was like, look, it's Christmas time. I'm absolutely skint. The money that for these decks is paid for Christmas. And do you know what I mean? This is really stressful. I'm so sorry. And it really is such a fucking horrible time for everyone, and then this guy was like, oh, this is the car died, the boiler's broken, and he could have been feeding me a line. I honestly don't think he was feeding me a line, but it really does
it's terrible, isn't it?
Add a lot of stress to people, and then obviously you've got the family members are being forced together, and there are conflicts, and you're forced into this room, and there's these conflicts, and there's all it's such a hard time of year. And then on the flip side, you've got people that don't have the families, and you've got people that that are just left by themselves, and then all they see is all these Christmas movies. You can't really escape it. It's such a, I mean, why do we put ourselves through it? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still love Christmas, and like before I said, it's kind of because everybody stops, and it was a break. It was a moment where everything just calmed. So my phone, when I was super busy with companies and stuff, and my phone wouldn't ring, it would literally disappear for a couple of days. and that was what I used to look forward to. And actually, I looked forward to the time between Christmas and New Year when not much used to happen for me. I know people don't tend to go back to work, but I was able to take that time off. So there's no Christmas, there was no New Year. It was just this quiet little, funny little no man's land between the two. And I really don't know, but the pressure, it's like proms, school proms that have suddenly started appearing. Do you know? No, I say suddenly, so they might have been around for a few years, but they certainly, not in my day kind of stuff, you know. And now the pressure to do the prom thing, it's just some marketeer somewhere thinking, right, how can we make a bit more money in cards and clothes and events? What's another good event, you know?
Yeah. What can we do? But, you know, the middle area between Christmas and New Year, I fucking hate because I'm not doing anything. It's the worst time for me because when I've got nothing to do, then I go to shit. My routine's been broken. Everything. Do you know what I mean? I'm just at a loss. So I basically set myself up jobs. I've got a little schedule. We're going away.
Brilliant.
I'm obviously going to have my son, and there's some other bits and bobs. I'm setting up a date to go and see my family. So I'm kind of trying to find ways to keep my busy and make myself busy, and then maybe
fantastic. That sounds great.
Well, yeah,
really good. Really good.
But I've been saving myself a few jobs as well to get on within that time. You know, just so when I wake up in the morning, I'm just not like,
You've got focus. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I've got something to do. So I'm actively putting things in place for this period to keep my mind centered or give myself a sort of healthy distraction. I start to fall into it. So
good. I'd love to hear in the chat what you think. We were thinking of doing an hour or so on Christmas Day at some stage for people who just wanted a safe space to come and chat and, you know, whatever. Be interesting to know what kind of time people would want to know about that. I mean, we can do a 9 p.m. You know, it'll just be a safe space if you want to jump in the chat. Yeah, maybe 9.
Well, I mean, we were thinking like
earlier, but
like doing maybe a sort of in between the Mr. Wiggly Sunday show and this.
Yeah,
maybe not getting too deep. I don't know. Doing some fun stuff.
Yeah, a more fun time. We can do a little quiz or something. That'd be quite cool. So it's up to you. So the Mr. Wiggly thing, it's a balance between making it kind of over 18 and under 18, I guess, you know. So let's just see how you feel. But if anyone wants to join on that and they've got any input whatsoever over the time or how it works, I think it'd be a good thing to do. And probably New Year's Eve as well, or New Year's Day or something along those lines. Let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm up for it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, brilliant. There's a bunch of messages whizzing past. So Culture Ghost saying, I just look after all the kids in the family. Danka Place, Xmas puts unwanted financial pressure on people that feel left out if not following that peer pressure to be part of a gifting season. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. I'm same with my daughter, but because of younger one can't blow the cover. And also,
what was that? No, did you go back? There was that elves thing.
Yes.
What the hell's that all about? Somebody was telling me about this.
No, that's another way of making money. You know, it's
but what is it? Like naughty elf or something?
I can't really speak because the door's open, but yeah.
Oh right, okay, yeah, because you're. Well, this would be for another time.
I'll tell you all about it.
Somebody was telling me about it, and I was just sat there gobsmacked. Obviously, this guy I know is a really good dad, and I was arguing with him about how rubbish Christmas is, and he was like, "No, the kids love it. I'm a good dad. The kids love it." And then he was explaining me this thing with those things, and I was like, "What the hell is going on? What are we doing to our kids? What are we doing?" Oh, sorry.
It's all right. Hang on, I will. Hold that thought for 1 second.
Yeah, so what? I mean, I've been left here trying to fill some space. I don't know. What did you guys think about all of this stuff? You know, what do you think the repercussions to all these crazy things are going to be? Lying to the children. I don't know.
We're back all the time.
And we're back.
Back again. Back in the room. Yeah. You had the elves hide every night, do different naughty things, keeping all the grown-ups busy. It's
no, but as a parent, how do you find that? What
annoying, that one.
Because that for me, like the whole Father Christmas thing would have just been like alarm bells, lying to children. Do you know what I mean? Making all this weird stuff up.
I think because we've been through it.
Yeah,
and I'm okay. I survived the trauma of finding out. And most people did, but I'm totally with you. I felt uncomfortable. I really did
Yeah.
feel uncomfortable because you don't lie. I really don't. I treat my
Yeah.
daughter as an adult. Really, I talk to her. What I can't stand with bringing up children is when you hear parents talking about their children like they're not there. They'll say,
Yeah.
"Oh, Delia, she's great at science," and they're sitting there, as if. Or they go, "Oh, she's really silly at that," or "She's really shy."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they're just dismissing them. And so I've always treated my daughter, as an adult, really, aside from stuff like that. But the smile on their faces and the happiness that's given to them by sharing that, not just with the parents, it's the whole school and friends thing.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You can't.
Well, I mean, there's a
fight
peer
that.
group pressure to get involved with it. I mean, I know me from a personal point of view that where the magic of being a child, I came crashing down into reality fast. Do you know what I mean? The magical,
Yes.
the cartoons, the fucking fairies at the bottom of the garden, whatever was part of your childhood. Then suddenly,
Yeah.
the reality of life hits you as a sort of early teen, and then you're like, oh, actually, life isn't this magical place. Well, it is a magical place, but it was made more magical, and it makes it seem even less magical when you start
that's
to
an
understand
interesting
it.
take. That is an interesting, because you're trying to create a perfect environment around your children.
Yeah.
And there is a brilliant naivety to children, and they have no, they trust everything. There's no racism or anything. Do you know what I mean? They're completely beautifully naive and correct in most respects, actually, as well as you grow up. And then they suddenly start to discover that things aren't quite as nice as all of that, and not everyone's the same, and all blah blah blah. So I guess maybe it's stemming from that kind of thing. We are missing a ton of chat.
Okay, let's go. Talking about elves.
I hope you don't mind. It's probably all about elves. Let me just whiz down this, because I'm still on the bit about your Christmas visits, to be honest. Let's see. -12 with David Surchek. It is 27 degrees at Danker Place. I'm not sure where you are. That's brilliant. David Surchek was just saying, same as me, just wants to slow down. Oh no, and grey one, the car can't be fixed. Oh, so sorry.
That's the word. And then you've got the heating prices, gas prices.
Man,
I've seen people going
saying, "Oh, at least the car can be fixed."
Yeah, this is the
sorry.
This is the thing, and obviously winter is a terrible time because boilers aren't put on in the summer, are they? 'Cause you don't need to heat your house, so then they don't get serviced in the summer. So then you go to turn them on in the winter and they've frozen. So then you've got to get your boiler fixed. We've had the fuel prices go up. We've had gas prices, electric prices shoot up as well. And then obviously you've got to do Christmas, and then you've got all the other kids, all of the adverts. Do you know what I mean? They want fucking PlayStation 5s, Xbox, whatever they're on now, £500, £600, £700 units. It's such a hard time of year. And on Facebook, people have been now heating their houses with diesel generators. And it was only a few months ago, people were going, "Oh, diesel and petrol prices have gone up so much." And gas prices and electric prices have gone up that much that now diesel is the cheaper way to do it. Which is... I mean, how are you supposed to cope? How are you supposed to cope if you're a single mother, you're on universal credit, you're on universal credit or some form of disability allowance because you're struggling with mental health, or you have a sort of physical issue that makes you not be able to work, and then on top of all of that, you've got to pay your council tax, you've got to pay these massive prices, you've got to try and keep up with your kids. Then what do? The only choice they've got to make their kid feel like they're loved, and it's because of Christmas saying you show your love with these expensive items, that they have to get in debt. And then they have to pay these massive interest payments back on these credit agreements because they're on universal credit on a disability allowance, and they can't get low credit because they don't earn enough. They don't have a job, so they have to go to these sort of higher interest lenders.
Yeah.
And then this hangs over to the rest of the year. There's a place in Bristol called Knoll West, and I remember years ago, it was always the poorest areas in anywhere where you'd have to pay to use the cash machine because there weren't any banks there. So in Clifton, you'd use a bank card. There'd be no charge on the cash machine, but you'd have the poorest, one of the poorest areas in Bristol. You'd pay £2 to access your own money from a card machine. So, and these were the areas where you'd be on the top up for your electricity and your gas. So they'd be overpaying for the top up.
An extra £2 on the it's horrific, honestly. It's really,
and the people that tend to have be on universal credit, the council houses, all the sort of the assisted living places, they all tend to be in those areas where the people with least money have to spend the most to access their own money.
Yeah.
Or they're not able to go into town or use the bank. I mean, it's a lot different now, seeing as cash is a lot less. You don't really use cash too much, but this is a really common thing in our society where the poorest people, the ones that struggle the most, are the ones that
taxed for that effectively.
Are taxed for that effectively, yeah.
In every way possible. It's horrendous.
These are the struggles that maybe people in the chat or people are living through at the moment, and it's supposed to be a really happy time of year, but we're just suffering as humans because of it. And this makes me sad as well because I've got to see this happening, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it.
10 mil as well. So did a horrible year. Really, I'm sure he won't mind me sharing the fact he lost his wife a few weeks ago, which is just tragic.
That's terrible.
Yeah, in a car accident. It's a big love to you, Tim. And I can imagine it's going to be a dreadful Christmas. I don't even know what to say. It's like there's nothing positive to come out of it.
Well, I mean, and
you were with the kids, and
10 mil struggle this year is going to be. He's gonna have to try and put his mourning for his wife aside to try and be there for his children. Can you imagine? I can't imagine that. Trying to have a happy day and trying to put your sort of best foot forward and trying to hold it in for your kids. We're going through that is one of the worst things ever, 10 mil, and I really feel for you, mate. I'm getting really negative and I'm sort of really talking quite depressively, but I think this stuff needs to be discussed, and I think there needs to be something for these people. What is there?
Yeah.
What is there?
Yeah. Have you got family around you up there, Tim Mill? I'm not quite sure what your situation is outside of your family. I mean, a lovely guy as well. Really, I mean, a lovely family environment. Just 1 minute there and the next minute everything has changed. We'll be here if you want to chat to us on Christmas Day. Definitely. I really don't know what to say, but apart from sending our love. Nathan coming back, the back on the wagon. Long story short, not enough step 12 of giving back and working in the recovery trade. Being in a town with no friends and being attacked, loneliness can be a killer. Yeah. And it's the happiest, most loving, sharing time of year is actually the loneliest, hardest time of year. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing as a group of people with this crazy holiday? It's very self-centered in general, or family. Do you know what it's us, isn't it? It's like we'll create our little island if we can and make it all work, and then get really depressed on day after Boxing Day when it's all.
Well, I mean, Father Christmas, I believe was Santa Claus, wasn't it?
Yes.
He was green and white back in the sort of was like it? I think it was he was green and white. Yeah, he was I think he was a wood elf or something. Now I found out about this and became interested in this a long time ago, so I could be spouting a whole load of shit now. But please correct me if I am. But I believe he's a German wood elf that delivered presents to children and needy children, and then Coca-Cola came along and rebranded it.
No.
Yeah, Coca-Cola rebranded Father Christmas. American Father Christmas. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to look that up.
Santa Claus, yeah. Well, what are the Coca-Cola colours?
Well,
white
I'd
and
like
red.
to think that they coloured them in because of Santa Claus, not but
No.
that's me.
Coca-Cola was a cocaine-based.
Yeah,
fucking,
hangover cure.
Yeah, hangover
Yeah.
cure. Yeah, and then Coca-Cola changed the color of Father Christmas for their branding, and it stuck.
Oh, can someone Google that?
That is, I believe. I
horrendous.
think, yeah, that's what it is. In fact, I might read some of the chat and I'll Google it.
Yeah. Okay, we are behind. I'm so sorry for being behind in the chat. I will now catch up very quickly, very quickly. I liked. There was a comment, Paul Artola, saying my kids figure everything I say is BS, so I just let them figure it out themselves. That's really good. David Serchek, it's about imagining and wonder. Yeah, I agree with you. Kids get the hard lessons eventually. Yeah, absolutely. Some, if it feeds their imagination and wonder, makes that little day a little bit more special for December with the run up to Christmas. Yeah, I agree. Danker Place, kids can become cynical very quickly when revealed to some information. I agree with you as well. Everyone's different, right? You know, it's a difficult call. Amazon Santa, the new legend, the man in brown. Good evening, Robert Fat Dust. Lovely to see you. Let us see what else has been going on. Sorry, just to whiz through. Parents don't willingly lie to kids. They lie because of peer pressure from Danker.
That's
Imagine
it.
bringing up your kid
Yeah.
with the reality and trusting them not to tell other kids. They then become isolated. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good point. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Matt?
So there's mixed views on this.
Just give us the view that doesn't involve Coca-Cola.
Well, he appeared in many different variations before.
Okay.
But the red and white stuck. But yeah, we'll have to
Matt
go
Evans,
back.
I live alone. I have reduced my electricity usage, and still my electricity spend has doubled. Yeah, it's the same here. You really start switching stuff off and realise kind of how much you might have been able to save before, just when you're not saving anything. Parents will go into debt because they don't want to disappoint their kids. Grey one, absolutely. And I do apologise about your car again. I'm sorry. It was just like an obvious flippant kind of. Oh, that's okay.
But that's what it is, because I mean, I was watching this podcast with Shaq, the basketball player, and he had a deal with Reebok, and this shows how things are starting to shift a little bit. And he was leaving a stadium, and this woman came up to him, and she said, "You should be ashamed of yourself." And he was like, "What?" And she said, "Well, your trainers for Reebok, we can't afford, and our kids want your trainers." And he walked out of there, and he thought to himself, he was like, "No, she's right." Apparently, he said he got really annoyed about it, and he said he was right. The woman was right. He needs to do something about it. And he went to Reebok. He cancelled his deal. He said, "You keep it. I'll still wear the trainers, but I'm going to make my own." And he took the Reebok designers that he had, and he designed his own. And then he did a deal with Walmart that week, apparently. And he brought out trainers which were $19 to $29. So the kids could afford it. And he said the key is, it's not about how much they cost. It's about how they look, and it's about how. If people want to wear them, it doesn't matter what they cost, and that these are the sort of things that are starting to change now that we need in our society.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean?
And if they're endorsed by someone like that as well, that makes it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the killer there. I just said, sorry, I'm Maniac was just saying that meters and charge systems for electric and gas, the rate is nuts to top up.
Yeah.
So they actually charge more to charge up a meter than they would if it was. That's ridiculous.
It's I believe, no, don't quote me. This is probably going to be another Father Christmas fact I've got. But I think the last thing I saw about this was it's either 14 or 20% more on a top up meter.
That just makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure if more people knew about that actually were in charge, they would do something about it. That's the point of having a meter system, is because you've got to limit your spending generally. You can't just run it and go, how much was that after 3 months, and pay the thing. You need to know what you're spending. Therefore, you're probably on a reduced income. Therefore, you shouldn't be charged a bonus for having one. That's crazy.
Well, not only that, but some of the companies, and I believe when I was on a charge meter a while ago, if you ran up a debt on your bill, they'd put a charge meter in. and then the bill that you owed would be taken off that charge meter, and it would always be sat there in the minus, and you'd have a certain amount that would, it's really
but honestly,
bad.
it makes no sense from any aspect, because
No.
if you have a like an account with British Gas, if you don't have a meter, they have to send you bills. They have to chase you if they don't pay. There's a lot of admin involved with the whole thing. It's a real deal. If you've got a meter, they're guaranteed to be paid. The money's there as it comes in advance, effectively. There's no admin to it apart from putting the meter in. It's ridiculous.
No, but the worst thing is about the meters is you've got to be so good with your money. Because when that meter runs out and you don't have any money and you've gone into the red because they give you like a £5, I think you can go over by £5. If you don't have money to top that up, you've got no heating.
Got no heating.
Unlike if you're on a tariff monthly,
Right, then at least
you've always got the heating.
Yeah,
but there are probably going to be people out there that have ran out, or if they've got so stressed. They've gone out with a Christmas party. They've all gone out with their mates. They've blown their money, and they could be sat there with no heating on Christmas Day, because of the way people on low incomes are treated.
And they're paying extra for the privilege.
They're paying extra for the bit. They earn less and they pay more. So people with not much money that have to use bank accounts and overdrafts, they pay for the privilege of having a bank account. They pay to use a bank account. You're paying overdraft fees. You're paying this and that. If you default on if you go over your overdraft, you get your £10 charge. But then the more money you've got, they pay you to use the bank account. So
Wow.
it's a
shocked.
crazy world.
We live in a very privileged, family here. I'm lucky enough to be okay and relatively well off. And this is just ridiculous. It's just
it's mad,
just crazy, absolutely crazy.
I mean, I'm doing all right at the moment. I'm for the first time in my entire life. I'm not having to look when I go to the supermarket. I don't have to look at all the prices, even though I do try to, because I'm trying to teach myself to be better with money and manage. From running my business as well, I'm kind of more focused on making sure I'm managing my money, and I've always got something in there just in case. But before, it was literally a case of having to count. You go to the shops and you'd have to look at everything you were buying. And the amount, I'd look into like how finances work. So I was interested in it, fractal banking, and when currency was removed from gold in the 70s, the whole fractal banking thing. The banks lend you money that doesn't exist. Essentially, they can lend up to 10 times of the value they have. So they're lending. You're paying them real money that you need to live on.
Yes, exactly.
Based on something they don't have, and then you put £1 million into a bank, you get paid. I think it's more than 20 grand a year interest. I think in fact it's probably a couple of grand a month interest on £1 million.
Well, it depends on the interest rate, but if it's 1%, then every £100 will pay you £1 a year.
Yeah.
So if you put 10,000 in, you get £10. Whatever it works out, £100 a year. So you do all right. But if you invest that kind of money, you can get much better interest rates because they're rewarding you, and then they go and spend that money, and it's. But okay. Back to the chat just briefly. Huge love for Tim. In the chat, there's just masses and masses. So if you're feeling alone, you've got a whole bunch of people here, and obviously me. Get in touch with me anytime, and we've messaged before as well, so I'm here for you. Anything we can do to help. It's a situation which is kind of impossible to almost know what to say. It's a horrendous situation. But
what can you say? It's awful.
But you're here, the kids. You've got the kids. You just keep strong as long as you can. And hopefully you've got some support around you. Paul Artola says Santa was Victorian. Matt Evans says Santa was Coca-Cola. So it's basically a fight between Paul Artola and Matt Evans to decide.
Yeah. Well, it's an ugly secret, and I'm assuming that the corporate world is going to want to deny that as much as possible.
Quite.
I may sound like a bit of a conspiracy.
is not looking up anything you suggest because his browser history will just be too much to bear, which I think is obviously a good thing. And the original synth, who I trust implicitly, says the Coca-Cola thing isn't true. So that's kind of cool. There were red Santas before Coke assimilated the archetype. I love that phrase.
Yeah, but they were many different colours. And then Coca-Cola did the white and red one to fit with their branding, and that's how it stuck. From what I read, Coca-Cola didn't do that, but they used it, and that's how it stuck because he was a rouge before, maybe.
Jeez, last week we used over £50 on the gas meter.
Yeah, 50 quid.
And Paul Holmes said, and they can turn you off remotely.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
50 quid. 50 quid. 50. I mean, look. So
that's
when
£3,600 a year.
A year. 50. So that's 50 quid. Right? What's the universal credit if you live by yourself? 76 a week. £26 to live on. £26 to live on. That's without the other bills. That's just gas, electric. You're on a meter. Extra 10 quid.
I mean, okay, it's summer half the year, so half that, but that's £2,000 a year going straight out on gas.
Yeah. But then, gas is used for other things. So, you're still cooking with it, even though the heating will use up the most. Do you know what I mean? That you're not going to, that £50 isn't going to disappear. It's probably going to be more like 10, 15. That's still the electric on top. What's that? That's 30. So 30 in bills on somebody who's on universal credit, 76 quid a week.
I don't know how anyone can do it. I mean, they can't do it, right? So there has to be things break, right?
It's impossible. But then people are forced to do a side hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and earn a little bit on the side, which then is illegal. And then if the HMRC can prove that you've earned £2,000, then you're actually in for fraud because you're trying to survive as a human being because you're ill.
Jeez, this is terrible. This is a real eye opener. Slightly lighter note, Danker Place. Pretty sure the elves and lizard people are working with Santa to shift loads of cocaine out of South America. At least have to bring some light to the subject, I think.
Well, that's it. Yeah, at least you'll have some energy, I suppose, won't you?
Culture of Ghosts' life is hard. You're telling me, geez, this is just ridiculous.
But this. I mean, it's crazy that this is the time of year. The coldest time of year. Your skin, no money, and then you got. Go on.
I'm sorry. I was just going to Dread Troop. Quite a big post, I think.
Yeah, let's read it.
It's hard to put all this in order. I'll just land it here as best as I can. I'm on the wagon 75 days and got let go from a sound engineering job about 4 weeks ago. I gave up smoking weed 21 days ago. 10 days ago, I was hit by a car on the way to social welfare and the driver fled the scene.
Wow.
Called the social to say I could make the appointment. They said I had to come as they wouldn't visit my home. Lol, my home is a shed with no heating. Not looking forward to Christmas, but I won't be drinking or smoking weed again. Thanks for the show, guys. Good to be listening in. Tough times make the man. Wow.
Yeah, they do. They
They really do.
But and if you are struggling with mental health issues, if you are struggling with anxiety, you've got all of this stuff on top to contend with.
The bit that sticks out here is there is a system here that supports this stuff. No one in the right mind would invent a system to purposefully do this stuff.
No,
you can say, well, there's not enough money or whatever, but no, if you sit down, you get tasked with inventing a social security system that is meant to help. It's got into such a mess, so that you can get hit by a car, and they say, no, we can't come and visit you at home. Yeah, I mean, I presume you're missing payments or something. I don't know. I mean,
they will. Yeah. If you can't go in and you can't, so even though DreadTube's got a legitimate reason for this, but it's DreadTube's responsibility to prove that's the case over a festive period when the workers aren't there. So essentially, those payments could be stopped if DreadTube can't get that information in time. Because DreadTube didn't turn up for an appointment. I mean, when I was totally off my nut and I was on universal credit, that happened to me, and I didn't make an appointment because I was out of my face, and they stopped the money, and I didn't have any income and a massive drug addiction. you know, and I was dealing drugs, so I didn't care. But if you know, if I was in a different position, then it could have been really bad. And I've heard about it. There was a disabled friend that I had, and my friend couldn't work, but my friend couldn't prove he couldn't work. He wasn't disabled enough.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been knocked down by a car, I know, just going back to it, if you've been knocked down by a car and you can't get into social, that qualifies you, right?
Yeah,
You
no,
don't
but
have
you've
to
got to
go in there
prove it.
prove you can't get in there. Do you know what I mean?
No,
It's
but
just-
he'll have to prove. Yeah, he'll have to prove he can't get there. It's crazy. But and this is the problem. You see, this is the problem of society again, isn't it? You know, it's the society is driven around profiteering. Commerce is driven around profit, and our economy is driven by the economy rising. You know, so there has to be people making money, and if those people that are making money are the ones in power, they're only going to be interested in making the money. So then people tend not to be the small people tend not to be looked at, and they don't have a voice because they don't have money to have a voice, because they're running around, you know, trying to make ends meet, trying to keep the heating on, trying to put food on the table. You know, these people are too busy to sort of really say anything, so then they get forgotten about.
Exactly. It's shocking, absolutely shocking.
And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. But
I mean,
you know,
I get there should be protection in place from social support that stops people taking the mickey and gaming the system and stealing money out of that, right? So there is always going to be a small bunch of people claiming housing benefit on two houses or however it works, you know, whatever, gaming the system. I don't mind, you know, trying to close those holes, but it's like they've shut out everybody. It's like you have to be almost the perfect claimant who should really be at work anyway if you wanted to go out and get a job, because you know, your brain's fully working, you got it together enough to fill in the right forms and do the right stuff, and you're still only getting your £76 a month or something, and no one in the right mind. Some of the people that I was working with when I was at there's a hostel in Crawley, which is rough sleepers and whatever. They have 18 beds, I think, and they have meals and stuff during the day for anyone who wants to come in. And 50% of the guys and girls there would probably not have been able to fill in the forms, do you know what I mean?
No.
Or even get the right stuff. And they were there. I mean, I spent a couple of days literally writing CVs for people who were trying to get interviews, DHSS, whatever kind of stuff, to universal credit forms and stuff, you know. And goodness knows if you didn't live in Crawley and couldn't get into that place, what you'd be doing. It would just never happen. Never
during
happen.
lockdown, when I'd just gone officially self-employed just before the first lockdown, so I didn't have any books. I also wasn't employed because I was newly self-employed, so I wasn't entitled to any of the help that the government was giving at that time. So I was trying to work out what I was going to do, and ended up doing something called a NEA, which is New Enterprise Allowance, where you get a sort of business coach, and you've got to fill out they help you fill out a business plan and sort of help you get an idea of where you want to move forward. And it's led me here. But when I was in there on one of the original appointments, there was a guy that was sat next to me on one of the first appointments, and he clearly was suffering with some form of like sort of heavy schizophrenia. You know, he wasn't making much sense, and you know, he was there getting his benefits taken away. And the guy wasn't in his own mind, and these people do fall through the cracks. And you know, you wonder why a lot of the homeless people that you see on the street, they are having arguments with themselves and drinking. Because they've fallen through the cracks, because they either haven't had the help given to them, or they don't know they need the help, or you know, they've just been put in a situation where their benefits have been stopped, they've lost their house, they've become homeless, and then suddenly they're just out there on the bench, nobody there to help them.
Completely. What we found in the Crawley side of things was that also police would round up the rough sleepers and some of the drinkers on Saturday night and send them round to the place where I was working as well. So they would just be like, we don't need to worry anymore, we'll just drop them off around there. There's no room there or anything, you know, but it removed the issue from, you know, it just moved the issue to someone else's problem. It was, this is a heavy
It's
show.
really heavy, isn't it? Really heavy, this stuff.
Prayers to you, though, DreadTube, from 10 mil.
Yeah.
It doesn't come much bigger than that at the moment, I'll tell you, friend. But yeah, I hope it all works out for you. Please do stay in touch, and you can get in touch with me, Dom at mrwiggly.co.uk if you need to, or any of us here. Original Stint is saying in the job centre the other day, one guy, they called us customers for some reason, had £60 for 3 weeks after sanctions. They suggested a church food bank. £60 for 3
suggested
weeks.
a church food bank.
That's
at Christmas.
less than £3 a day.
Yeah.
And you just done £50 on the heating. £3.
£3 a day.
And it's not like they're going to be. You can guarantee anything's coming after that, right? You're back on the same old.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm Maniac. I got proper screwed for going into my overdraft for a few months before as well. Banks proper shaft us. They borrow out something like nearly 10 times on each £1 that goes to the bank you put in. Yeah. Please don't go on the same day to get your money out of the bank because they won't be able to pay you.
No. Well, I mean, I think now again, I'm gonna say something that I've potentially read or heard somewhere. I might be wrong.
We'll just call them FCFs, Father Christmas Facts, from now on.
Father Christmas Facts, yeah. So, but the utilities companies have made record profits this year. Record profits.
They did.
So, I mean, why have the prices gone up so much if they've made record profits?
There's a couple of weirdnesses here. One, I don't understand. They don't set the price. I'm not protecting energy.
No.
Companies. The prices aren't set like that by them somehow. They did lose huge amounts the year before and didn't ask for a bailout. So the government's excuse will be, well, we didn't give them any money then. Why should we give them any money off? But then they say, but they don't set the price. I'm not sure who does set the prices. The whole thing is controlled, right? So it's like diamonds and oil. They only produce enough for people to have enough supply to keep the prices up, which strikes me as terrible. Well, yeah, more than enough oil. Okay, I agree that we're running out of oil, but the amount of money is specifically limited by the countries that are producing oil to drip just enough in to make sure there's enough demand to keep the price high.
Well, that's exactly the same with diamonds. Yeah, they're mined for nothing with slave labour. Yeah. And then they're held back by London, and I don't know too much about diamonds, but I know enough about diamonds to know that it's an incredibly immoral practice.
Yeah, it's a controlled way of releasing this stuff. We should talk about crypto one day as well, how immoral that stuff is as well, but not now. No. If anyone here, says Original Synth, is on Universal Credit, this is a UK-based thing for any of our US friends, you can get 6 months free broadband, which has just run out for me, but I got it for £12 per month from the end of the month, 3G mobile till then.
Well, that's bloody. Well, I mean, that's such an important thing as well, because people, you need to stay in touch, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to stay in touch. I mean, when I was on heroin, fucking hell, I lived in the phone boxes. I didn't keep credit on my phone. Yeah, I couldn't afford credit. It was like either heroin or credit. So it'd be like stick 50p in the call box.
Wow.
So I don't know what people are doing now, but yeah. It's mad. I mean, your money runs out. You got no internet. That night when my internet went down, I don't have a TV. We've got a PC and we just stream Netflix onto a sort of big screen. And when the internet went out, we didn't have anything to do because the signal was terrible. But imagine that you've run out of money, you've got no internet, your broadband's gone, no heating, you're sat there by yourself with nothing to do. Where are you then? It's like, and I think, knowing this stuff and what goes through my head is probably more reason why Christmas is ruined, because I spent a long time looking at all the negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you kind of need to see the negatives to try and see the positives in some.
Yeah, okay. But it's I'm frustrated. Tell me, yes, he does have some help, family and friends. Arjang, good on Arjang. His family, friends locally, all helping, and extremely grateful for everything and everyone. Okay, brilliant. Well, it's good that you've got at least someone around to help. Matt, my missus was using £10 a day during the cold snap. And she's on Universal Credit and has an autistic child. £10 a day.
What does somebody like that do? What can you do? I mean, I know autistic people. I grew up with a close family friend. Her daughter, her son is autistic, and I spent a lot of time with them. But I was too young to really sort of understand what that was. but autistic children are really hard to look after. And you've got no money to entertain the child. £10 a day. It's I keep saying the same thing, but it's such a hard situation.
What the answer is?
No, there isn't one.
It's like a
there isn't one.
Rip it up and.
Well, you kind of have to. I believe that's why there's a lot of people saying there needs to be a reset. Russell, is it Russell Brand? Yeah, Russell Brand's going on about this a lot at the moment. Like the system is broken, so heavily broken. But then, how do you entice people to go get if you give a sort of guaranteed income?
It's about making it available correctly and targeting it right. I mean, it's obviously a lot more complex than that, but there are people who clearly need money and they need money. So, it's like just obvious things like charging more for the meters is so categorically ridiculous. Yeah. I've never heard anything as ridiculous as that. You can solve that tomorrow, right? We'll fix that. Do you know what I mean? There's a few things that can make a small bit of difference now, and then you have to start ironing out the rest of it. But the trouble is that people move in and out of office in government and so fast. Well, yeah. It's like 1 week they'll be doing this, and then the next minute they'll be doing, the foreign secretary or something. It's absolutely. But and you're right about the people that are suffering don't have a voice. No, they don't. They don't. And these massive companies that are able to not pay tax, that they're able to have their sort of their umbrella company in an area of the world where they don't pay tax, then that actually means that these multi-billion-pound companies aren't paying tax, but then somebody that's got claiming housing benefit on 2 properties or is doing some sort of really small thing to help them get by are the ones that are being sanctioned. But then these massive, it really is unfair. What can you do about it? How do you change a system that's so old and that is so intent on money making? There must be something. This is a real eye opener for me. It's just ridiculous. Hi, Jen. Lovely to see you. Jen's hopefully coming on in the new year to talk about her stuff, which is great. To be lovely to hear from, which would be really good. Temil says, thanks. This show helps. Well, you're very welcome, man. I mean, very, very welcome. I mean, it's such a wonderful thing to be able to, have a positive. Have a positive for somebody. And going on to positives, Jen, I believe, has done a day without any weed. I believe Jen's done more than that. She's done a month without smoking. Without smoking it, and then she's weaned off. Is it longer than a day? I think this was the first day with absolutely zero. I mean, she's smashed it basically, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and long may it continue. So she's done really, really well after many, many, many years of. But she's inspired me to drop the vape, and I'm gonna do it. Really? Yeah, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna. And the way doing this show helped me get an injection, I'm gonna use this show as motivation to stop the vape. That's what I'm gonna do. Fantastic. And I'm going to do it in the new year as well. Even though I hate New Year's resolutions, it's not going to be a New Year's resolution. But we're talking about maybe like rebranding it for the new year and sort of coming at it a different angle. And this is going to be me trying to beat nicotine. A proper New Year's resolution, though. It really is. I'm going to call it a New Year's resolution anyway, even if you don't want to. Well, no, I've done it before New Year, so it's not. Okay, all right then. Yeah. Danker place. We're having Shell pull out of supplying gas here in Oz. The issue is we're selling more gas made locally to offshore than looking at our own interests. We're expecting a 50% price increase now. Well, jeez. Somebody said that they paid 110 quid in utility bills last week. Yes. Sorry, that whizzed up. Where was that? Was that only a minute ago? Gosh, I'm trying to catch up with chat and whiz passing it at the same time. I'll come back to that in just a sec. But yeah, I mean, utility bills and stuff at £110 a week, it's just not sustainable. Okay, let's just move on for a second. Original synth, working on benefits. I was accused of that a month ago by the job centre. I had an interrogation by phone. So stressful when you're in a vulnerable situation. Yeah. And the problem is that the Universal Credit have to do this. They have to do it. So you've got people that work in Universal Credit, they don't earn that much either.
You know, they're not on mega money. Then
They just work in the steps of the guidelines that they've all been established.
Yeah, and then they've got to call people and essentially question somebody that heavily and threaten people. You know, it's
Jen
kind
said
of
they stopped her money for 2 years.
yeah.
Took them to court and eventually got 7k back. Lucky Mum could help out to survive at the time. Without them, I would have been screwed. Yeah, what you meant to
Yeah.
do? That's the point.
What
you
do you
meant to
do? Yeah. What does a person in that situation do? Like, if Jen didn't have such an amazing and supportive mum, what would have happened to Jen? Do you know what I mean? What possibly could Jen have done? Yeah, add a kid to that.
Yeah.
You know, and if that happened to Jen it's from 2 years ago, that's going to be happening to probably quite a few people now. Probably quite a few people now.
I don't understand how they can stop your money for 2 years. Like, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You could just die. It's ridiculous. Original sent, they wanted me to apply for 10 jobs per day. I found it so stressful. I'm on sickness till March, thanks to a doctor who actually listened. Okay. And then you can apply for 10 jobs per day, but if you know, that's
no, but then that encourages carpet bombing.
Right.
And that encourages, you say it's got to be 10 jobs a day. You've got to do 10 job applications a day, right? So if you're skilled in a certain area or you have certain interests.
Right. No, forget that. You've just got to do 10,
then
right?
You've just got to do 10. So then what do? You apply for 10 random jobs and you don't get those random jobs. You're like, well, that job's really rubbish. I'm not going to do that job, but I'll apply for it anyway. Then you don't get that job. And then what does that do for your confidence?
Yeah.
Because you didn't try and get the job, and you're not putting your best foot forward. I mean, there has to be some sort of psychology behind these requests. There has to be some sort of support.
Yeah, as Dan Caplace says, there's not a market that can provide 10 new jobs a day. 70 a week is insane. Yeah, you're right.
And then you've got companies which are trying to find a decent employee that will keep their job because they're a good fit. But then they've got people that are on universal credit that are being forced to apply for these 10 jobs that have no interest in that job. When they go to the interview, they're wasting time. It's a larger cost on the company.
Not back all the time. Yeah. Totally.
And they've got less of a chance of getting an employee that's going to be good for that role and stay in that role, which is further increasing the issues with this society. You've got people being sacked because they're not meant for the job, because they've applied for it, they've got it, they have to take the job because Universal Credit have told them to, and they're not a suit, so they don't keep the job, they're back in the same cycle. I mean,
well, the only good point out of that from Original Synth is that there's a doctor who actually listened and got out in sickness till March. So I mean, that is one positive thing. I got to say, I mean, the NHS is stretched like crazy. There are not enough people working in the NHS. They are so short on people. It's ridiculous.
Well, you struggled when you went for with your blood test, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. However, every single person I met who was working for the NHS and there was doing an amazing job. They're just so nice. It's like they can't cope with the amount of people there because they're all doing like 3 jobs at the same time.
But you know, it goes back to the point of finding help when you're depressed as well. You know, because you've got support, you've got a lovely family, but if you imagine yourself in a depressed state without any support and all of the hoops you had to jump through and all of the sort of I can't get this appointment, I need to get this appointment, my liver's hurting. Yeah. Digging yourself a deeper hole. You know, you've got a very supportive wife, you've got a beautiful daughter, you've got a great life, but you take 2 of those aspects away, add a little bit of stress to the situation, add no money, and you've got to constantly be chasing for that appointment. You will end up breaking. And this is where like the baby steps and why it is so hard for people to get help.
Yeah, I mean, I did it non-stop from Saturday. I finally spoke to a doctor on Tuesday and got a blood test on Tuesday afternoon. And I went to A&E and I could have waited. I mean, they were literally, it's a big A&E department around the corner here, and they were queuing outside the door up the side of the building. I've never seen it so busy. I reckon it was a 12-hour wait to get in there.
Blimey.
Saying the same. I mean, it was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, but nothing against the NHS. They're doing an incredible job. That people,
yeah, of course. But it's not the NHS and it's not the staff members. It's
the
not.
lack of. It's the lack.
It's the
of
lack
more than
of,
anything.
yeah, and it's the lack of support. I mean, the government are good at making money. I've always wondered this, and I don't understand too much about the NHS or how it works, but they get this bursary every year, don't they? They get amount, not bursary, but they get a certain amount of money allotted to the NHS every year. I've always wondered why they don't have salespeople in there, or why they don't have, decent financial managers in there working that money for them. Because how much, if you give £1 million to somebody that's good at making money from money, surely they could double that in a year.
I don't know enough about it, but it's NHS trusts, I think, now, isn't it? So they effectively formed companies that should do that, but obviously don't. And then they just don't give them enough money to... I have to be honest as well, I think Brexit meant that so many nursing staff and people there had to leave, that definitely didn't help. There was a big kind of a lot of nursing staff and stuff from Europe that didn't keep visas or left and whatever. That certainly kicked it in the head a bit. COVID, everything, and it's almost like chucking money at it is not the solution, but it would really help. Do you know what I mean? And you're not going to attract more staff without raising wages or allowing workers from Europe back in again. I think that's it really. But
yeah,
I honestly don't know that. I'm not political. Don't jump on me as a Brexit or the rest of it. I seriously don't know. That's what it looked like to me on Tuesday. Anyway, it was so. There you go. Let me just move on swiftly. What have we got? More money could be recovered by chasing the millionaire fraudsters rather than the benefit fraudsters.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely, it would do, and hopefully it is. I don't think it is, but there's a different team doing that stuff. But it's the gate that prevents fraudulent activity going on benefit. So there's two things going on. The benefit levels are too low, and the barrier to get them is too high. I think that's kind of where it's at, isn't it? Because you do need to catch people who are just taking the mick and stealing money from benefits, but equally you need to make it very easy for people who need it to get it fast and get the support and then ask later. Do you know what I mean?
But I think the point that Original Synth is making is these people on Universal Credit that are running these little scams. It's pence up to the big dogs. Yeah, it's pence up to the big. I mean, my brother works in financial services, and he was explaining to me how financial services work. And there are guidelines. Is it the FCA or the FFA now? I can't remember what they're called. But the company that the body which dictates how you're allowed to operate in the financial sector is based. It is law unless a company with enough money can go, no, I don't want to do that. I can afford to fight this.
Right.
So they basically get to do what they want within a certain. Right. Do you know what I mean? And so if they want to do this and they've got enough money to say, no, actually we'll take the fines, we're still doing it, and then fight it, they can do it. This is then the little man, which is why you find financial advisors under umbrella companies, because those big boys can do what they want and they can change the law to do what they want. Yeah. So it's So going back to the point that was raised, I mean, you can try and fight the big dogs and stop them from doing this tax evasion, but the problem is they've got enough money to fight back. Whereas the guys that don't have money, you can't fight them, can you?
Of course.
So then there's no, you know what I mean? You go after those and you get the pence back. But then it's just broken. It's just so broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sad. I mean, it's ridiculous. Hey, we're over time, but I would like to catch up with the chat and everything, because there's a lot going on, and let's catch up with the chat. We keep stopping and just jumping on it, which is brilliant. But Zanka Place, my advisor is particularly spiky. Advisor in inverted commas. She accused me of working because I had a high vis vest. I had to show her my scars from the bicycle accident to prove I only wear it to be seen on my bike.
Bloody hell.
What is going on? What is that all about? You turn up in a high vis jacket. Who's gonna?
Yeah, you're working.
Who's gonna? And you got hit on your bike anyway. You fell off. Well, it's just. Okay. Hey, Universal Vibe. Thanks for joining us. Lovely to see you. When you have to prove something or are accused of doing something else, that's when it becomes an us v them scenario. Yeah, I agree. The system isn't there to help; it's there to save their own dollars. I agree with you. I think that's it. It's like it almost should be given and then reclaimed afterwards if you are in a desperate. I presume there are emergency payments that are equally hard to get and all the rest of it. I've no idea. There isn't, is there? You just have to starve and rely.
You can get an emergency payment, but you've got to call them,
Right.
and you've got to go to a phone box and call them if you haven't got credit, and you've got to apply for said emergency payment. I mean, I remember trying to get an emergency payment years ago, and I spent 2 days doing it. 2 days, and I had to put money in the phone box to get it every time I wanted to try and get it.
DreadTube's got the internet bill payout. Sorry, carry on. And they what?
Yeah. No. Then you'd literally have to. I had to wait at the phone box to be called back.
Man.
Yeah.
DreadTube's got the internet bill paid till the end of January. Good. Absolutely. At least you can be in communication. Danker Place saying, isn't a pint like £5 now? Yeah, I think so. I think it was when I gave up drinking at some stage. At least in some places. It may be the norm, though.
Oh, the wedding we went to, me and Melissa.
Yeah.
What was it? It was £12 a pint.
No.
£12 a pint. Yeah. I bought a round and I nearly
That's
passed out. At a wedding, yeah, £12 a pint.
Wow. Dr. Vimso, if they're charging more for a meter, this may mean the cash is for something better. I hear fusion will be the next power system. I bet we'll pay the notes right. I don't think it's a better system. I think it's just standard gas coming down that thing, to be honest. But Genesis hit 48 hours.
Yes, go on, Jen.
Good work. Keep it going. And again, lots of love. This is where we are in the chat now. Lots of love for Jen. No cannabis for 48 hours. And I Am Maniac is saying, drop the vape. Vape makes your brain race if you smoke sweet flavours. Vaporize the vape, said Paul Holmes. Yeah, there's a lot of support for you dropping the weight.
It's got to go. It's got to go. It has to go. It has to go. And I'm gonna use this show and the embarrassment of failure to get me through. I'm only fucking around. I'm only fucking around. No, I'm gonna do it though. I'm gonna do it. And
Homegrown. Quit weed and tobacco at the end of May. At the end of May, 6 weeks of vapes and then quit those. Kent was my inspiration for that. Wish I'd done it years ago. Good.
What I'd love to do in the new year when we relaunch and we sort of rebrand and we sort of focus more. We haven't really spoken about where we want to go, but we've got a rough idea. When we focus this, I think all of our regular viewers, we need to all set up something that we can do, something we want to change, something we want to do, and every week we can update. And every week there'll be loads of us that don't manage to do it. There'll be some of us that do, but I think we should all support each other in doing this and try and actually sort of not shame, but sort of let's put it out in the open and let's all say let's try and do this and let's work together to do it and let's use other people's experiences and advice and kind of just do a sort of like a wellness check-in.
Yes,
I think every week.
That's a really good idea. Really good idea. And also, I mean, we might, I don't know, thinking of changing it to calling it safe space or something similar because it's moved away from. It's great to listen to Ollie's past and everything, but it has moved much more into a community thing.
Yeah.
And, a safe place to support and discuss stuff in some way is going to become. So there'll be a rebrand in January. I still think kind of get some kind of, not necessarily a group chat, but some kind of contact available if people want to speak inside that week. This is the show.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
A way of communicating if you feel, the need.
And what I'd love as well is if we were in that group chat and somebody's had a massive breakthrough or a massive success. Like imagine if Jen had done this 48 hours and we were in regular contact with Jen and everybody else was in there supporting them. You could pop in. Jen could have popped it. Oh, I'm feeling really sort of. This hasn't happened, by the way. I'm just using Jen as an example, and I'm fictitiously bringing up a conversation which supports your idea to do this. But let's say Jen was sort of, I'm really close to picking up, doing it again in the chat, and we're all there. We can all say, no, come on, do this, and then we know about this, and then we can kick the show off with the good news, and we can kick the show off with, what advice was given, what support, and I just think I think we should really use, because I've been using this to make myself better and help myself through things with the injections and thinking about the vape. So I think if we all start to think about that over this horrible period, about how we can use this show to help each other and move forward and sort of put some little goals down. Not massive goals, not goals that you can be scared of, or goals that are unachievable, but little things. And maybe other people that have been through that can say, well, I did this, let's try that. And then just slowly start to try and grow and move forward together. I think that'd be beautiful.
Totally. 100%. 100%. I think that's great. Absolutely brilliant. Last desperate attempt to get to the end of the chat before we completely run out of time.
I'm not helping, am I?
No, it's good though. It's good. I'm quite happy to run over a bit. It's, my missus had an angina attack a few weeks back for a 7-hour wait at the hospital. Whoa. And Make That Money MMA is saying, can we ask questions? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As long as it's not about making money, you can ask anything you like. I'm not sure if we can answer it. As we said before, if you missed it, we are not medical professionals in any way whatsoever, but hopefully...
Well, we're not even professionals, are we, Dom?
No, exactly. So we're just not.
we're just two people. Yeah, we're just two people.
Original Sin says, Ollie, I've not done any music making recently due to anxiety of impending job centre visits. Lucky to have this breathing space till spring with the time out from the doctor. Absolutely. Absolutely.
See, now, Original Synth, what we could do with you, mate, is, we could start putting coping mechanisms into dealing with these appointments, like I did with the injections. You know what I mean? We could maybe talk about how, I sort of baby step my way in to do that. And I know that you can turn these visits from a very negative thing to a very positive thing. Because if you go into if you go into this appointment scared and on a defensive that you haven't maybe achieved your goals, then it can be quite daunting and it won't be a positive experience. Whereas if I think you can move your headspace round into going, right, this job centre appointment isn't going to be about me defending myself. It's going to be about me speaking to my job coach and me telling my job coach my issues and explaining why I'm struggling with these goals, and asking how they can help you do that. Because I believe if you go into it saying, this is the situation I'm in, I'm struggling at the moment with my mental health because of this, how can we make this more achievable for me? And I think it could turn into a positive appointment opposed from a defensive scary appointment. Maybe, and I think maybe other people could discuss their experiences and how they can turn a negative experience into something positive. Original Sim. So maybe this could be where we could start next year with your situation, mate.
That would be great if you're up for it. That would be really cool. Okay, last few comments. I think something should be highlighted with the influx of phone scams around this time of year. Please do not fall for them. Give out no details. I say this to my mum all the time. Totally. I have fun with them. Scammers yeah. It's people like mums and stuff you have to worry about, and grands, isn't it? So losing so much money. But what's your fun way of dealing with phone scammers?
So a phone scammer, I posted on social media about it, but a phone scammer said that I could have won a prize and I need to apply for it, and in 14 days I'll get my payment. And I went, well, unfortunately, I'm going to be dying before that. And I said that, and he said, well, click the link. And I said, well, there's no point because I won't be on this earth now. And then every so often I get a message going, have you died yet? I'm like, no.
What? I never saw that.
Have you never seen that? No. Yet? Have you died yet? I'm like, no, but I've been given a couple extra days. And then it'll just pop up and go, die please. And I'll go, I wish I could.
Die please.
Yeah. I've got a scammer that pops in on me every so often and wishes death upon me.
Die please.
Yes. It's quite immediate.
Oh man. Wow.
Another one, because they use profiles from people don't they? So then whenever they message me, I'll say like, I'm really surprised you're messaging me about this. I mean, it's very kind that you've seen me on this list, but I'm just so surprised you've messaged me after stealing my wife last year at Auntie Nora's wedding. They just go, God, I just say loads of silly stuff like that.
I'm going to try that next time. I get loads of that stuff. Mostly it's like, do you want to use our development team in Mongolia or whatever, or just bizarre stuff. Yeah. A lot of hate for £12 a pint. Original Synth saying get another emergency payment, but got one more payment to go from the last one.
It's so bad, isn't it?
Just terrible, isn't it? Ink is saying I gave up weed, ironically by well, crop failed and too mean to buy it. Okay.
Probably said too much there, Inky.
Yeah. Sorry, whoops.
I mean, it's a safe place, Inky, but we're not.
Sorry about that. I'd stop smoking if it didn't turn me into a self-righteous non-smoker. Lol. Apologies to Mr. Hicks.
Oh, well, I'm gonna be a self-righteous non-smoker when I do this. Don't you worry about that.
Definitely. Lost the same group chat. Where? That's a good question.
Where? Yeah. I mean, Facebook would probably be a terrible place. Would there be some sort of server or MSN chat we could set up that was kind of secure?
Yeah, we could do that actually. There's a Mastodon server I set up for doing music on, which we can try. There's also things like Signal and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No one really wants to download something new yet again to do new stuff.
I mean, or WhatsApp could work, couldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually quite a good idea. I think most people probably WhatsApp. If anyone has any, please don't use this rather than use it, or use this, to be honest. If we said something like WhatsApp, if anyone's got a huge deal with that, then shout. That's probably.
I mean, I'm kind of thinking that it needs to be a chat where people's actual details on there, because we could potentially have new people coming in and there'd be personal details. So, I think maybe
That's
actual names would be could potentially be either detrimental to somebody wanting to be really open with their information, or somebody seeing so I think
let's think this through.
But we've got Christmas to ponder this. But any sort of if anybody's got any suggestions,
it's a bit like trying to continue the YouTube chat, really, and having that in something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we could maintain that, that's good enough, so people can decide what they call themselves. Okay, so Ollie, nice one. I must admit that when an old mate recently said I'm agoraphobic, it was quite a shock for me, as I thought I was just a grumpy, cynical, bitter old agoraphobia. Wow. Vimto's deleted WhatsApp. Okay, yeah, no, WhatsApp's probably out because of the names. Discord would be okay. That's actually quite an interesting one. Discord would be good.
Let's try it. Yeah. Let's try it.
That's a really, really good idea. Jen says, please don't use MySpace. So I'll cross that one off.
No, MySpace.
Actually, Discord is a great idea.
I think Discord could be the one. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was heavy. I am seriously annoyed in a like a I can't believe this is happening kind of way. I know it's a small thing. It's not a small thing, but compared to some of the stuff we talked about, it's a small thing. This thing about having to pay extra for having a meter is just done my head in.
Well, yeah, but I mean. But the people get embarrassed to moan about this stuff, and people are like, what I mean? It's not the sort of thing people like to bring up. So I hope today has helped anybody in that situation realise that actually they are in a hard situation, and if they are focusing on it, they've got all the fucking right to, because it's a really bad situation, and all you can really do is realise you're there. Don't feel bad that you're in that situation. It's not your fault and it's out of your control, but hopefully that'll alleviate some of the stress, embarrassment, or any other feelings you'd have in this situation. I'm losing my words. I'm really tired. We'd be going like an hour and 20 minutes.
It's crazy, isn't it? No, exactly. I'm totally with you. We do have a voice. The more of us there are, from whatever background, from whatever, collectively, this stuff does need to change. I just think that's outrageous. Okay, big love 10 mil. Thank you for joining in big love to Jen, and also big love to Dread. Where's Dread? I can't remember the second half of Dread's name, but he's an amazing guy, and thank you very much for being a part of this. That's annoying, isn't it? I can't even scroll back to it. Big love to the Dread, and he hasn't posted for a while, so that's cool. Thank you all for joining. See you on Christmas Day if you fancy it. I'll post.
Let's do it.
Make sure you follow if you haven't followed already. That's not just to get follows. That's just that you'll see a notification that there's a show coming up on Christmas Day at a certain time. Might be 9, might be a little bit earlier. Hit notifications if you want to be absolutely sure, but you should get a little thing saying we're live, and I'll try and put it up a few days early so everyone's aware of it, and we can console each other at Christmas, or big each other up, or find out what the news is and everything. And thank you very much. It's been a really good show, and those of people watching, really good chat as well. Thank you so much for sharing. And rebrand in the new year, and group chat on Discord, I think, at the moment. So let's see how it goes. In the meantime, have a good Christmas. Try and get through happily the next week or two, and we will see you Christmas Day. All right, take care.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys. Have a good evening.
Urbanist connect so with the herb pipe. Link up the harmonize, bless the termite. But beyond obsolete blessings are birthright. We live a life which a lot born in us heart worldwide. Cosmic love energy I go herbicide free organically. Me say worthwhile. Watch the way one of you teach termites in terms of definitions and some termites get sidecheck the eye. One side is defined by one side the other. I.e. I am an idea's man. I assign too much of the qualities of my guy. Who's way back talking like there's two of me? One is a construct, one is a creativity. The supreme one, all encompassing information in and of itself. Most definitely, another life infinitely, most life infinitely. Beyond the scripture, niceness can be. Blessed be, I continually, Mr. Pick up a being as the infinite.